Hi guys, welcome to this new video, and on this one we are going to be talking about data types, variables and identifiers in Java. Hope you're excited. So let's go ahead and get started. Now we are going to be starting with data type, and this simply means the type of data that we can work with in Java programming. Okay, so we have different types of data. We have byte, which is numbers from minus 128 to 128, that is positive 128. We have short, which is any number that falls within 32,000 or negative 32,000. Now we have int, and int covers any number up to minus 2 million or plus 2 million. Then we have long, which covers numbers that are greater than 2 million. Any number greater than 2 million falls under long. Then we have the float, which is a data type for numbers that have decimal places. And for the float, any number with decimal places not greater than 7 falls under the float. But for those who have precision greater than 7, they fall under double. And then we have the boolean, which is a true or false kind of data type. We have the char, or the character, which represent a single character, which can be either a letter, a special symbol, or even a number. And finally we have string, which is a collection of characters that are enclosed within code. Now the ones I highlighted in bold are the ones that are mostly used and the ones we are going to be using mostly in these examples. So let's go further to look at variables. Now a variable is simply a container that you can store your data so that you can work with them thereabout. Maybe you can print them or you can carry out some computation on this data. So here I have this container, one with 2, one with 5, one with hello. Now these are how variables are created in your computers. Your program would reserve a space in your memory to store this data. Unfortunately, once you store these data without a name given to those containers, you would not be able to find those data in your computer, and that leads us to what we call identifiers. Now an identifier is just a name you give to your variable or you give to your container. Since you're going to be storing data that you need to use in the future, you need to name those containers so that when you need to use those data, you just make reference to the name of the container. So we have the former container with 2, 5, and then hello. Now we now give them identity, that is they have identifiers. Now we have age, we have score, we have text, and all of these are also variables. So if we want to make reference to this container that has 2, we would only tell Java we need the container with this name age. And then if we want to use the one with 5, we will tell Java we need this container score. Now for you to be able to create containers in Java programming, you must tell it the type of data you're going to store in that container even before you store those data. And that act is referred to as declaration. Let's go straight to our NetBeans IDE and then write some code. So I already have this public class first project from the last video we made, and then I still have my public static void, that is my main function here, or my main method. And here is where we are going to be writing our code. So we start with int, that is a short form for integer. And then let's say int x. Now this will tell Java that we are about to create a variable called x, and it is going to store an integer data type. Okay, int x. Now you can say x now is equal to 10. Now we know that 10 is an integer because it doesn't have a point or anything, so it's an integer. And then we can store this now inside of this container after telling Java that this container x is going to store an integer value. So let's go ahead and say, okay, system dot out dot println, and then let's put the x there. Don't forget to add your semicolon. So let's run the program and see the output. Okay, our program ran successfully and we have the output here 10, okay, which is the number we assigned here. Now here's something you need to note. If we say that this container x is going to store integer and we try to store numbers that are not integer, let's say 10.0, there's already a red line here saying incompatible types, because you cannot store a float in an integer container. Okay, that's Java for you. So if you say container x is going to store integers, you must make sure you store integers. If not, this is going to result to an error. Now let's create another container. Let's say container y. This time around, not int, I'm going to use float at least. Now I can say y is equal to this, and okay, I need to add an f here. When you're creating floats, you need to add an f after the last digit of the number you're adding. Okay, and that's what we just did here. Now I can say, okay, I can say my x is maybe equal to 10. Now these two numbers are not the same thing. This is an integer, but this is a float, simply because of this 0.0 and then this f. That makes it a float. So we can go ahead and say, okay, print x plus y, and see what we are going to get as the sum of x and y. So after running the program fine, we have 20.0, which is the summation of 10 and then 10.0. This is an integer data type, and we are storing 10, which is an integer, while we said the variable y is going to be float, and we are storing 10.0 with an f here. The third one, let's say name is equal to string. Yeah, because this is a collection of character, right? It doesn't have to make sense. You can just type anything there. So let's just put a reasonable name here. And we have a red line. The reason is simply because Java doesn't know what type of data we are going to be storing in this container called name. So we need to tell it the type of data. And this time around we are storing a string, because a string is going to be a collection of these guys here. And finally, add your semicolon, and everything is good. Okay, so now we can go ahead and add another system.out.print. Sometimes it's a bit hard to type and write at the same time. So let's go ahead and run our program and then see. Now we have the name we printed out here together with our summation here. Okay, sometimes the compilation and the running might take some couple of seconds, so you have to be patient if that does happen. So let's say now we want to create numbers that are going to be greater than 2 million. That is, we would no longer need to use int. Okay, we would have to use long. If the number is too long, if it is too much, we would have to use, instead of int, we would have to use long here. Long, for it to work very, very well. And let's say this decimal place is also grew to be more than 7. There's going to be a problem here. So we would have to use double instead, because the decimal place is very, very long. We have to use double for peace to reign. Okay, and we can still run our program and everything should go up. So we have our result here, and we have this one here. Now there is one more thing I would like us to take note of. Let me quickly go back to the slide. Now we will have variable naming rows. we have some rules that you need to follow when you want to give names to your variables. First, your variable names should start with alphabet, and then secondly, they should not start with numbers, okay, but they can actually contain numbers. And then you are advised not to use special characters, though there is exception for underscore and $sign in Java, but you are advised to avoid using them. So let's see some implication. Let's say let's use some variable name that makes sense here. Let me also get this out. So let's say string. I want to change this to my name like this. I cannot leave a space in between the my and the name. That will result to a problem because space is a special character. So I cannot leave a space. I cannot put a hash sign there. It will not work. But I can leave it my name like this and it is going to work perfectly well. But in Java, you're advised to use the camel casing where variable names should start with small letters, but if you have two words you're joining together, the other words should start with a capital letter like this, my name. Okay, so this is going to be perfect, and let's change this here to my name, and we are good to go. Now this is just a convention. If you choose to use the small n, it is not as if the program will not run very well. It will still run. You are at liberty to choose to use the small or the camel casing. Any one you choose to use, your program is still going to work very, very well. So if I try to use a number here, let's say 2, and then my name, already, you can see we have red lines, and then it says there's going to be a problem somewhere. So avoid using numbers, or sorry, starting your variable names with numbers. Avoid using space, but you can use the underscore to join two words together if needs be, like this, and then everything is going to be fine. Alright, so we also, these ones, we just declare them, there's nothing there, so we can just go ahead and then remove these ones. Now, one final rule to take note is the fact that your variable names are case sensitive. That is, the way you spell your variable name matter. If I say my name with a capital M here and I use same thing with a small m here, this is going to result to an error because Java sees this guy differently from this guy. So the way you spell your variable name, make sure it remains the same so that you don't have silly errors moving around in your program. Okay, so let's play around more with this, and then space here. Let's see, another string, my school equal to let's see, we have unsuk. Always remember to add semicolon at the end, so we can join this and then say plus and then say and I school at. Now you can use a plus sign again and then you give it my school, and then we have this. Let's see what we get. So let's go ahead and run it and see what we get. Now let's wait for some seconds for it to come up, and then we have my name. Yeah, we have the name here and I school at, and so Java is able to grab the name and then using this plus sign join it with this sentence, and then with another plus sign join it with the name of school that we have. You can actually do even more cool things with this one, but we are going to be stopping here in this video, hoping to continue in the next one. Thank you and see you on the next video.